crashed that vehicle, there was this sort of getaway vehicle waiting for him. He then jumps into this vehicle, still lights out here, and that original suspect said to be the passenger in this one.
So this is at least the second or third time, like in recent weeks, where we've had this, where they're apparently, during the pursuit, they're on a cell phone arranging for an accomplice to come rendezvous with them. Sort of a new development in this world of pursuits that we're so familiar with.
Yeah, right. From one vehicle to the next.
And in the past, it's resulted in them, I think, eluding the police or the CHP entirely and getting away.
One of the cases recently, You're right. So now we're on the 105 West, I think. We have Dennis Zine. He was with the LAPD for many years, is still a reserve officer. Dennis, what do you make of what we're seeing here?
Another Hollywood pursuit live on Fox 11 as we see what's transforming is reckless, careless driving. They've obviously switched drivers and the cars. So what we have is a tremendously dangerous situation, and law enforcement's concern is protecting the innocent people, but the driving in this particular situation is absolutely outrageous. And they're going to do what they can. I think we're near LAX, which means that airspace is going to be restricted, so our air units are going to be restricted with that. And the ground units, sometime is an extreme danger, the watch commander will give the order to terminate the pursuit. I don't think we've gotten to that point yet, even though there's been a lot of situations that have taken place in this particular pursuit that may have called for that earlier. But as we see that the traffic's not very heavy, we've got a congested area, but not really heavy traffic. And with LAX is part of that scenario, it just creates more of a situation for safety for everyone, the folks that are trying to get to LAX, the folks that are in that particular area, bordering El Segundo, the Southern Beach area. So we've got a lot going on this particular situation, and hopefully we can get this concluded in a safe manner before anybody gets seriously injured in a collision that's going to take place.
Yeah, just south of LAX. What are the rules for law enforcement aircraft or helicopters in that LAX area? Is it the same for civilian helicopters?
Well, they can get clearance. The problem is if they go into that airspace, then they have to hold up all the incoming and outgoing aircraft.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be extreme emergency. They can get clearance from the tower, but it's got to be an extreme emergency. I don't know if a pursuit would be considered an extreme emergency where the air unit would have permission. But if there's, a very serious situation, a 187 murder suspect or something to that effect, but it's got to be extreme to, you have to then cease all air operations until that concludes, and you don't know how long it's going to take. So most of the time, they don't even ask for it because they know they're not going to receive it. But in extreme situations, they can ask for that, and then they can get that authority has to be granted. I don't know if the news choppers could follow along in that situation, but I know that it's extreme that they have to go into that situation. But the suspects, if they're in that area, they know that that's another avenue for escape because of the tower and the limited availability of the aircraft, the air units that are flying overhead. So we don't only have the LAPD, sometimes we have the CHP, the Sheriff's Department, and all the media choppers, so it gets quite congested at times.
All right, we're hearing, although our chopper's scanning the area, we're hearing now that that suspect is, and suspects, we'll have two of them at least, we don't know if there's more, is in El Segundo right now on surface streets. So hopefully our chopper can pick up the speeding vehicle so that we can resume the pursuit. But we do know that they're on surface streets in El Segundo.
Yeah, and Dennis, you heard us talking earlier. This is sort of a new wrinkle, is that they're calling accomplices to rendezvous and then abandoning the original car and getting in another vehicle.
Well, it's just taken a new twist. That is a relatively new tactic. We have seen many times they'll flee from the car, foot chase, etc. But this is a new twist when they call in someone to stand by, and then they leave one car and jump in, they take off in another. But again, the public jeopardy is at great danger with this, and the officers in the pursuits are extremely dangerous, and they don't want to get involved in a situation with an innocent person. And some of these pursuits at 100+ miles an hour, you're jeopardizing anyone and everyone on that highway. So many times the watch commander or the supervisor in charge will terminate for the public safety, because when you have a pursuit and someone gets injured or killed, the first thing they'll be pursuit is the city of Los Angeles. So there's a great liability, and in fact, we want to protect lives. We want to save lives. We're not out there to hurt people or to have them killed in a crash of a pursuit, whether it's a traffic violation or something more serious, because we don't know what they're fleeing, whether it's a GTA, armed robbery, whatever the case may be. But for some reason, in this particular case, where we have the layoff and then someone else picks it up, that's extreme. That's the new trend that's now taking place.
All right. Well, Dennis, our picture here, we're hovering over the area trying to relocate the suspects. Can you just hang on the line while we do this?
Yes.
We're going to get to some other...
Go ahead.
We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll resume in just a bit. All right, Dennis, thanks. We'll be right back. That breaking news, a reckless driver pursuit. This is on East Imperial Highway. Actually, I think we've moved on to Sepulveda. Yes, it looks like it in the Westchester area. Skyfox over the scene now. It's been quite the evening of this pursuit. This is the second vehicle. In other words, the original suspect crashed the vehicle, and then there was a buddy of his waiting. They jumped into this vehicle. Speeds have gone well above 100 miles per hour. So that original suspect is now the passenger inside this vehicle. We have Dennis Zine on the line with us. Dennis, we've found it. Here we are now in Westchester. Speeds really, really dangerous.
Extremely dangerous. We're approaching speeds probably close to 100 miles an hour on these surface streets, which is extremely hazardous. Fortunately, little traffic, but we do have signal control intersections, and there are some people on those roads, so you can see the speed, the excessive speed. And if the collision would occur, that could really result in deadly circumstances just because of the speed of that vehicle. It's got to be close to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, right now, just slowed down, blowing through an intersection there. This is right in the Inglewood area. Are we going to get on the 405? Let's see. It looks like we might be getting on the 405. We did get special permission to fly in that LAX airspace, so we are in that particular area. So it looks like now we're on the 405 officially. Yes, we are. So yeah, not far from LAX, obviously. Inglewood, 405 carpool lane at this point. We've also seen, Dennis, them play with the lights, where they turn the lights off, they turn the lights on. That's not good for anybody.
No, it's not. It's extremely hazardous. But fortunately, the air units overhead, and again, there's multiple air units that are following this, not only from law enforcement, but from the media. So they keep a track on it. They communicate. So with all those eyes up in the sky, they can keep track. But it's not unusual to turn the lights off and to try and drive in the dark. But with the traffic that we see, some areas there's heavy traffic, some moderate traffic. But when they're on the freeway, they're going to be those excessive speeds. And those excessive speeds, that's when we have some real serious collisions. And oftentimes there's very serious deaths, serious injuries and deaths. Just because of the excessive speed, when the cars collapse, that metal doesn't do anything except crush the people inside. So it's a very, very hazardous situation. I don't see the speed at this particular time, but we know the speeds have been excessive up till this point.
No, and in fact, now we're pulled out. We're pulled out. You can see the 405 off in the distance. Looking at the time, this is when we say goodnight on the Fox 11 News at 10, and then we, at straight up 11 o'clock right now, is when we say welcome to Goodnight LA, simulcast on our sister station Fox 11 Plus. I'm Marla Tejas. We have Dennis Zine on the line, a former LAPD officer. He's now a reserve officer. He's helping us out on this latest reckless driver pursuit that involves two vehicles total in that first vehicle crashed. Now we have a getaway car serving as the pursuit vehicle, and it's LA County Sheriff's deputies in pursuit. This was all just for a reckless driver, and now it's gotten quite complicated. We've seen it in Inglewood. We've seen it right next to the airport there on the surface streets. We picked it up on the 110 North, and this actually started in the City of Industry. So Dennis, as we work to get our eyes on that vehicle that was going more than 100 miles per hour, we are learning that it looks to be a Mercedes. So right. I don't know the year, but it has some pep.
Well, a late model Mercedes-Benz, and at excessive speed, Mercedes-Benz are very fine cars, well-built cars, and we know that the tragedy can happen, impact into a compact car or something else, or a pedestrian. This could be a very, very deadly situation. But the type of the car that we see in this particular situation can cause extreme damage, not only to the occupants, but to other vehicles and pedestrians. God forbid a pedestrian gets struck in a situation like this. It's very, very dangerous. I can only express how sad it is when consequences occur. But the BOATS commanders are obviously watching, and what they will do is have them back
Dennis,
off.
let me just jump in really quickly so that our viewers don't get confused. So the bigger box here, this is video from earlier when those speeds, you can see for yourself how fast this person was driving. So this was video from earlier. The smaller box is a live picture from Skyfox. You can see the trail of law enforcement, but we don't have a great view yet of that vehicle. So video from earlier, Dennis, when we are seeing these speeds well above 100 miles per hour, it just goes to show that this person will do anything to stay out of handcuffs.
Well, if they're at the extreme. Now, maybe they've been to prison. I'm sure an individual who has never been involved in an arrest would not be driving in this manner. Common sense would prevail. But if you've been to jail, if you've been to prison, they figure, well, they don't want to go back, and they'll do everything they can to avoid going back, and they don't care if they injure or kill someone along the process. That's what happens when you have a situation such as this degree, and the hazardous we see, how hazardous it is to driving for such a long period of time. It's just through great luck that nothing's occurred to this point where someone's been involved in a collision, a very serious or a deadly collision. That's just luck at this particular time, not just good driving tactics, but just good luck. And most people have no idea people in those cars, they have no idea what's going on. They're totally in the dark when it comes to knowing.
Yeah,
what's
I mean,
happening
sometimes
when they get out of
ignorance
the way.
is bliss, but not necessarily in this situation.
Exactly. But, you know, when they drive without lights, he's driving without
Yeah.
lights, which obviously is extremely dangerous. Cars cannot see coming up and on the right, on the left, and all the different driving patterns. But again, the hazard just gets worse, and that's the point. Now, this particular situation, the watch commander may say it's too hazardous. We need to apprehend this person. We're not going to terminate this pursuit, but drive in a cautious manner. But normally, when it gets to this point, the watch commander will give the order to terminate the pursuit. In this particular case, they haven't given it. With all the circumstances involved, they want to apprehend this individual, anyone who's involved in this situation.
All right, so just a reminder to our viewers, we are covering a reckless driving pursuit. The big picture is video from earlier when we originally picked up the pursuit. The smaller picture is Skyfox doing its best to relocate the reckless driver vehicle. And as you're seeing on your screen, what we're broadcasting to you, the suspect switches cars. So yes, just to reiterate that point, the suspect crashed this original car that we're showing you in the big box. And then there was a getaway driver waiting for this person, was able to jump in to that next vehicle, and so now we have this new vehicle involved, and the original suspect, for all intents and purposes, is a passenger now. So there's now we have two suspects involved. There could be more. We don't know how many people are inside the getaway vehicle. We don't know if suspects are armed. Law enforcement always assumes that they are. And that's another thing that you have to take into consideration, Dennis.
Well, they take everything into consideration, to be honest with you. But in this situation, it's the extreme hazard, extreme danger. And these folks, obviously, from what we're looking at, it's not the first time they've been involved in something like this. But the late trend is to have a layoff vehicle for someone standing by, and then you abandon one and jump into another and take off. So this has become a new tactic when they get in those areas where you have a lot of parking structures. They'll bail into a parking structure. The helicopters have a difficult time observing when they get in those areas, the high tower areas in downtown Los Angeles. So there's a lot of tactics that these people come up with just to avoid that arrest. And I think that when you arrest an individual like this, you're going to find that they've been in jail for whatever types of crimes. This is not a traffic violator that just doesn't want to get a traffic ticket. This is much more serious than that.
All right.
Really serious.
Dennis, we're going to ask you if you could just hold on the line while we work to reconnect with the pursuit, and we're going to move on to some other news in the meantime. You can hold on. Great. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay.
This is only on Fox 11 now.